Manitoba. Thank you very much for joining in today's session. The session is about dealing with stress during the times of COVID-19. As we all know that we are dealing with some sort of isolation, be it working from home or it is driven by the lockdowns, as well as because of the health reasons, people are either scared or they have anxiety to go outside. So that is creating all sorts of mental health related issues, causing stress. So the session is about exploring how can we deal with that stress, as well as any symptoms coming out of this whole environment. We would like to thank the Government of Canada and Red Cross in administering this funding for this program as part of the series of programs that we've been doing. So the program will be run and hosted by Jyoti Kalsi. And a request is that please keep your speakers and sort of videos off and mics on the mute. That will help us in basically maximizing the exposure of the speakers. The questions can be asked through the chat, and I believe Akanksha and Anmol will have a little bit on the details on the program, how they want to run it. And Jyoti will be our intermediator in the whole conversation. With that, again, thank you very much, Akanksha and Anmol, and thank you, Jyoti, for hosting this event. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Ramandeep, very much for organizing this on behalf of India Association of Manitoba and bringing this platform for us to talk about these issues, that are very important than ever, because the situations we are in, again, we know, like, be any age generation, we're kind of, confined to the limited spaces that we are allowed now. So again, welcoming Akansha and Mol. It's pleasure to have you guys here and shine light on this, and give us more insight to how we can try to manage this stress. The more we try to defy from it, we are actually exposed to it, as apart from that, even realizing that we are, right? So I will let you guys give you an introduction about yourselves and what you guys bring to PCHS as an organization, which is very well involved in offering health and social services to South Asian community, and kind of covers almost all the areas that we need help with: addiction, mental health, youth and parenting programs, whatnot. So back to you, Akansha and Anmol, and stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Jyoti, for the warm welcome. And it's our pleasure to be part of Indian Association of Manitoba and facilitate these webinars. And it's a great opportunity to come out and interact with a different set of people that we are not usually around. And I'm working as a case manager with Better Families program. It is the program that works with youth and parents. So the age criteria that I work with is 12 to 24, and with parents whose kids are below 12. And in the program, we also provide some supportive sessions to people who are legally mandated related to parenting or anger management issues related to, sometimes kids have struggles in school, and which could lead to argument, which could eventually lead to some kind of physical altercation between two kids. So then they're mandated by law to take some anger management session or take some life skill sessions. So that's also we do. In addition to supportive counseling, we do have two groups running. One is our youth group that runs every Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. virtual, and another one is parenting group, which runs first Thursdays of every month from 6 p.m. onward. And the parenting group, anybody can access it. It's on our Facebook PCHS page, and our CEO Baldev Mutta facilitated that session. Yeah. So anybody across the globe can log in, and we have all those recorded session as well. So even though you're not able to join it at that time period, you can watch it later on your own time convenience.
That's good to know. And I know we had Baldev Muttaji for the first session, so I'm sure there would be quite a bit that we would learn from it.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I know stress is the elephant in the room today. So I know you have a presentation ready for us. So walk us through it. And again, all the listeners, I would again say, put your questions in the chat room. We'll keep a log of it, or we will review them towards the end of the session, so that we just kind of bring that, questions in their mind that they want to get help.
Yeah, sure. And before just moving forward, I would also ask Anmol if she can also present in, about her program and a bit of introduction.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Anmol. I work alongside Akanksha at PCHS. So I work in the mental health department. So I'm a long-term mental health case manager. So I usually deal with anyone who is feeling symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, low mood, anything of that sort. So this can be feelings that you just know yourself that you are going through, or they can be something that a doctor has diagnosed you with, right? So I focus on helping the clients feel better. So a lot of what we're talking about today, how to manage that stress, how to manage that anxiety, those low moods, like when you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel like doing anything. And I think especially with winter coming up, this is a very important thing to focus on. And our life obviously has changed a lot. So how can we figure out what to do for ourselves? Everyone is different. Everyone needs different things. So that's my role. I deal with people who are 16 and older. And long-term case management just means that I work with them for a longer time, so up to 2 years. We also have lots of information videos on the PCHS Facebook. So if you want to learn more about depression, anxiety, and a few tips, you can also go on to there. Some of the videos are also in Punjabi, so if that's easier for you to understand. And we also, PCHS, we also have a mental health group that I run on Saturdays. And in that group, we do similar things like we will be doing today. So I talk to group members about what's going on, how to deal with life skills, like build motivation in yourself, manage stress and anxiety. So I hope today you will be able to take at least one tip away that you can use in your everyday life. Akanksha and we will provide some information just about overall what is stress, where do you feel stress, how do you know that you are feeling stressed. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat box. We will have a question period at the end. And maybe just keep a pencil and paper on you, write down whichever things pop up in your head, and we will definitely answer those for you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mo. Yes, so just about, stress, we can go talk about it. We all know that it's a part of everyday's life. It's nothing that anybody can say, oh, I'm not stressed. Or, even you ask a 2-year-old, my day was hectic, I'm so stressed. So that's what you hear from everybody. And the thing that we need to understand is stress can be positive and negative. And the thing that we need to do is to understand the difference and see that how we can use stress as a favorable condition to push us to perform beyond our expectation, and how it is, overpowering our capacity in certain times. It's overburdening ourselves. If we talk about the general Oxford definition of stress, it is just like a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. So, and the stress response is biological as well as psychological. So sometimes if you feel like, if I'm walking down the road and there's a dog without a leash who started following me and running, so I'll just, because I'm stressed in this situation. But the thing is, it's kind of a positive stress that it is motivating me to run faster and run for my life kind of situation. Whereas a negative stress would be, things that are beyond my control. That if I'm worried about, if it's going to be a snow day tomorrow, or I'm not prepared to go to office tomorrow, whereas I cannot do anything about if it's going to be so much snow that our office declares it a snow day, or it is going to be less snow and I still have to go to office. So these are things in which I cannot do anything about it, but still overthinking about it will give me stress, and I would not be able to go to bed. Even I lie down, I would not be able to have my complete 8 hours sleep, which will eventually lead up to a bad day next day if I have to go to work. So there are a few situations that kind of escalate that stress response in our body. So if you guys want to talk about any positive stress situation and negative stress situation, we can discuss about it in the beginning so that we know that how, from your personal opinion or your personal experience, that how stress had acted as a positive force for you, or at times how it acted in a negative capacity. And Mo can add up anytime she's there.
So another thing which helps me a lot is whenever I think of the word stress, I think of the word signal right away. So a lot of times, our body is beautiful in that way where it's reacting to situations in your life, right? So if something like Akanksha mentioned, if a dog is running at you, your body is going to quickly fill up with adrenaline, your heart is going to beat faster because it's reacting to that situation. It's giving you a signal that, oh, look, there is something in front of me. So in the same way, when we're feeling stressed and you're feeling like that pain in your neck or you can't stop thinking about something, we all kind of realize when we're going through stress. So think of stress as a signal. And then your next question could be, what is this signal about? What is this trying to tell me, right? So what is going on? Like, what is bothering me? So a lot of times that's the best way to think about stress. Like stress comes, it manifests in our body, right? But it is usually a problem that is bothering us. So it's important to think of stress as a signal. So why is this affecting my body? What's going on? What's the bigger thing that is there? So that's something that helps me a lot. Just stress is a signal, right? Like Akanksha mentioned, like we go into more stress and more anxiety when we think like, oh my God, I'm getting stressed out. My neck is starting to hurt. I can't sleep, like something's going on. It starts to like really mess with us more. So that's a good way to think about it. Try to think that, this is okay. It's okay if my neck is a little bit tight right now. My body is trying to give me a signal about something that is wrong. So let me focus on that. Let me figure out what's going on.
Okay. So again, it's easy to get into that overthinking aspect of it, right? When you're maybe thinking, okay, it's just some signal that I'm getting. To what point? Again, I don't want to go away from the presentation you have. I think I'll let you focus on that. Maybe let's keep all these questions to the end so that it's uninterrupted. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, and then another thing is, like Anmol mentioned, the signals. So we can name these signals as stressors, like what things are causing us that stress. If we talk broadly about, because I work with youth, so if I talk broadly about some stressor that causes stress in youth, our school, homework, juggling schoolwork with extracurricular activities, and particularly with online learning, it's kind of stressful because they don't have now that person-to-person contact with each other. So earlier it was easy to go with the flow, talking to chit-chatting with their classmates, their friends. They had a good recess time. They used to involve into fun activities. But now, just with the virtual learning, it's a bit of stressful for kids. Next would be relationship. They have their own struggles with relationship, their first crush, their first heartbreak. All those things goes in youth, and that's again a thing that causes stress at that age. If we try to look back and think about it, yes, we felt like we are having a heart attack kind of a feeling when we had our first heartbreak. Our social media, kids and youth used to make like to spend most of their time on social media. That's an entertainment portal for them, an interaction portal for them, provide different channel to express their emotions, but at the same time we need to make sure that they are safe over those social media platform. If somebody hacked your account and somebody just hacked your phone and exposed your personal pictures, and then the thing is you cannot go to your family, because they would be like, why did you have those kinds of pictures in your phone? Or you cannot go to your friends, or your friends are already shaming you, you know? So those kinds of things also act as stress when they don't have anybody to go to and speak about all those things. Conflict would be in their personal relationship, conflict with family, with parents about anything, any day-to-day activity. But the thing is, because they don't have that much of experience dealing effectively with conflict, so it kind of stays in their mind, and they kind of overthink about it, which eventually leads to more stress. Money could be another challenging factor, because sometimes they want to show off, or they know that they can't earn that much, but their friends are able to get more pocket money and they have more expensive. So it's a kind of a unhealthy competition that sometimes develop during school time because of money or financial stuff, and that could lead to, again, you know, the kid might not want to go to school, because if somebody's wearing a Jordan shoes to school and this kid is wearing just a Nike thing, so that kind of comparison, and because of the money and all those things. Another thing could be any challenging or negative life event. We talk about, you know, even as a grown-up person, as an adult, we face it's so much difficult to get over anything which was very disturbing for us. Could be a loss of someone close in the family, moving to a new city, you know, a bit of financial loss. So many things are so much difficult for us to move on. So we can think about how much stress those situations could create for a young person who is not that experienced to understand all those things about adaptability and positive change, and you know what life have for that kid in future. So those are a few of the stressors, and then Mole can definitely add.
Yeah. So a good way to think about it is, like, one tip I can give is, if you're trying to figure out what your stressor is, it's good to focus on three things: body, mind, and soul, right? So think about your body. Are you eating enough? Are you drinking enough water? Are you sleeping enough, right? Are all those body needs okay for you right now? Maybe your vitamin D is low because it's winter now, right? So a lot of times our body is missing some things, right? Maybe you don't have enough food, nutrition, vitamins in it. So, and you're not sleeping well. Those things can also make your body weaker and make you more prone to stress. So that's one thing that's very important. And those things can affect you too, right? Like your health can cause you stress. So you can think about body, like, is everything with my body up to par? Is everything working okay? Second is mind. So mind, like a lot of these things here that are mentioned, school, relationships, social media, money issues, anything going on, those can affect your mind and how you're thinking. Maybe you're thinking too much about them. So you can think, what do I need to do to help my mind, right? Do I need to speak to a therapist? Do I need to speak to a family member, a friend? Should I get some advice on this, right? Like, what can I do for those areas? And then soul could be your relationship with others, so social interaction, and your spirituality, right? So are you feeling disconnected? Do you need fresh air? Do you need to spend more time in nature, right? All these three areas, if you're able to focus on them, you know, you can do an activity on paper, maybe make a list and just go through body, mind, and soul and see, are any of these areas missing something, and is this what's causing me my stress, right? And usually we can find the answer when we do this checklist. Usually we can figure out that, you know, this is this area that I need to focus on. And once we are able to figure that area out, then we can find what are my next steps to help me.
Okay.
Yeah, so just about, because we recently discussed about some stresses for youth, so maybe I can go for a few tips that how parents can support their kids during the time they're stressed. So first thing could be they should try not to lecture to kids, you know, just try to understand them. If your kid is coming to you and confiding in you, telling you that this is a situation that has happened at school or with friend, or emotionally, or the person is not feeling safe and he might need help, you know, And so that person, instead of lecturing to kid that why didn't you came to us earlier when this thing happened, why you took so many times, I told you not to make friend with that person. So instead of lecturing about the whole thing, they need to calm down and speak in a neutral way with their kids and try to understand his or her emotions. At that point, active listening should be the most important part, and showing empathy towards their kids, because that is how it would add a more strong bond between a parent and child relationship. And next would be, don't be too aggressive in terms of looking for a solution. Just if a kid comes with a problem and the parents should be like, oh, I know this thing, we can sort it out in this way. Instead, try to figure out that you are able to clearly hear the message that your kid wants to convey to you. It's not just about, like Anmol mentioned, that we need to focus on mind, body, and soul, and then see what are the things that are causing it, and then focus on the surrounding factors that lead to those things. So instead, if a kid is saying, I have a stomach ache, or I don't feel like eating, so instead of just looking for some home remedies, or asking you to, okay, go to the washroom, maybe just that would help. So instead of giving those quick solutions, just try to listen to them and understand that what could be a reason lying behind all those symptoms and signs that my kid is showing. And another thing that we can add is, sometimes I have seen with so many families working in this program for many years, that whenever any such situation arises for a kid and kid try to confide it to the parents, or they get caught, it's not most of the time that they will go to their parents and tell about the issue, and sometimes their parents got to know about from their teachers or somebody else. They would eventually take some strict discipline actions, take away their devices, or no, take away their phone, no making phone calls to their friends, no going out and see that friend, grounding, and all those things. These things could act as a quick measure, but they would not provide any long-term solution. And it would eventually lead to more problem, because now the kid does not have the device. He would be more isolated because they don't have that social support right now, which might help kid coming out of that situation in a more better way. So yeah, just focusing on a few things before we move forward.
Yeah.
So Anmol, if you want to go through this.
Yeah, so we will just go through this one quickly, since most of these things, through life experience, we kind of know that, not everyone has stress in their body the same way, right? Some people might, their hands might start shaking. Some people might ignore everything and just want to sleep. Some people might spend time out of the house and avoid their stress, right? For some people, like maybe they have extra energy when they're stressed out. Maybe stress helps them get things done. They need that stress to work on those things, right? Some, maybe others procrastinate more. So everyone sees stress differently, right? Stress is perceived differently in everybody. So some signs that you're experiencing mentioned on the screen as well. So dizziness, general aches and pain in your body, very common. And then grinding your teeth, clenched jaw. So some people, they might notice at night, like while they're sleeping, they might be grinding their teeth more. Headaches are obviously very common. Acid reflux, like I mentioned, problem sleeping, racing heart, cold and sweaty palms, and tiredness and exhaustion. So one of the questions actually kind of relates. So I'll just answer one of those questions now from the chat box. So the first question was, does genetics play a role in stress? And which stressors play a vital role in making us external or internal? So genetics doesn't have any obvious role in stress, but a lot of times we adopt the way we deal with things from our family, right? So a lot of times we learn from our parents how to react to life situations, how to, like, which things are more important to us, which things make us more stressed out. So it's kind of like that learned behavior we get from them. So the way they react to things in their life, just naturally we pick up on it, whoever we spend time with in our childhood, right? So for example, if somebody in your family, like say your father or your mother, has lots of stress when it comes to finances, right? Growing up as a child and seeing this in your home, this might cause you a lot of stress as well, right? Just from the environment. And you might learn to treat it the same way, right? So like if you end up losing $100, it might mean so much more to you than somebody else. Somebody else might not feel as stressed out. Um, and then it says which stressors, internal or external, play a vital role in making us. So stress, like I mentioned, stress is perceived, right? Stress is all about your mind. Stress is how you see things. And I think we can see that kind of in people's nature too. So for example, in a house, there could be two siblings and one can be just very calm and relaxed while the other can be more stressed out easily. So I think some people say it comes with your nature, but it really is about how you perceive things. Like if you can convince yourself that, you know, this is not stressful for me and it will go away and your body will not feel stressed and you will not feel stressed, like nothing can happen. It's honestly, it all really is up to your mind. It's up to your mind if you think that this is something important in your life that's going to bother you, right? So a lot of times we feel stress due to the unknown. So we might not know how to solve the situation. We might not have experience or that education or knowledge. So a lot of times the most practical ways to deal with that stress and manage that stress is number one, taking care of your body just alongside so that you feel good physically. But second is to figure out a plan, right? A lot of time planning helps the stress go away.
So while we're on it, Anmol, I'm just gonna quickly touch up because you did mention it's the environment in your family, right? That kids see it,
It
and
can be one factor, yeah.
right.
Not always, but it can be, yeah.
Yes, for sure. Because we are the idols. That's where they learn from and see. That's how we are supposed to react, right? So it kind of stresses parents as well. And I know we touched a little bit on the stressors for youth. Again, I know the audience we have today, some of them are parents or grandparents who are facing some kind of stress due to this confinement that we are exposed to. What do you have to share on that end?
I think I would share just to try to see how you react to things, right? So, for example, in our community, the South Asian community, education is very important to us, right? We value education a lot, and we instill this in our children also. We want them to be educated. We want them to do well in life. So, for example, I can give you an example that maybe everyone can relate to. Because we value education so much, it can also stress us out a lot, right? So if you have a child who comes home and they fail a math test, right? And they show you that paper, like you got a 4 out of 10, you got 40%, right away as a parent, instead of trying to console them and say, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened? Was it too hard? Do you need to get a tutor? Are you not understanding? Are you tired at school? We react and we're like, oh my God, what's going on, right? So we get stressed out and kind of blow up first. And it's because we don't want our children to do bad, right? We want them to do well in school. But so we react. And then if that child is young, that's the first thing they're going to see, right? They're going to see like, okay, I did bad and this is the reaction I get. Like there's so much stress and negative energy and everyone's upset. So they start to feel the same way. So every time they will get a bad mark, even if it's really bad or a little bit bad, if they know they didn't do as well as they're supposed to, they're gonna use that same pattern and feel that same stress that the parents do, right? So it's like you're passing on your behavior to your child, right? So because they're going to think that every time I get a bad mark now, this is how I need to react also, right? I need to freak out also. So I think that is one thing that's helped me a lot in life too. And, because we're not perfect, right? We get hurt and that's why we feel stressed out. It's because of our values, right? We expect certain things and maybe they don't work out. So I would say just watch your reactions, right? To see, because a lot of times that's what stress is, just a very quick reaction, right? So if you hear that, like maybe somebody in your family gets into car trouble, they get into a car accident, right away you're like, oh my God, what's going on? I hope they're okay. That's your impulsive reaction. But if you can stop yourself, if you can pause yourself and tell yourself in that moment, like, let me just take a breath. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the root of the problem is. Let me calm down. Let me look through it. That is going to change your life so much. It's going to change your life so much in the way you view stress.
Okay. So I guess, I mean, we all agree we do have stress. And what are the signs? We also agree. And I think the follow-up would be how we could work through it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody is looking to know more. Like, it's just too much. How do I fix it, right?
Yeah, as Anmol mentioned, it's our personal experience, nature, and nurture, like we talk about most of the time, how we are nurtured all through our life, how our parents have set up different values and different condition to respond to in different situation, like about the car incident she mentioned. Yeah, we always go to the worst case scenario that could happen to a person, and instead of hoping and praying for it to be not a bad news, we always go to the extreme and that this could be the worst case possible scenario that could have happened. And that's why we are going to attend to this kind of calamity at this point. I'm just going to share one video related to this. Just give me a moment, please.
Sure. While we're waiting for that, it kind of ties up with the conversation we just had, and Mole, that would be for you, I would say. The question came up like, could you draw for us insights that are specific to Punjabi and South Asian communities? Like, are there certain things that are more prominent in our community?
Yes. So I think in our community, I guess we can see it as both a blessing and a curse. Is we're very community based, very family based, right? Big families, lots of relatives, very connected. We really come together, and so that is very beautiful. I think it's one of the greatest things we have in the South Asian community, right? It helps us out a lot. So during stress, that can help us out a lot because you have that support, right? If you have it back home, if you have it here in your neighborhood, kind of like us here now too, we're coming together. But sometimes that can also be the problem because we are so community based. Like the Western culture is not as community based. They think more like, not that they're selfish, but they usually try to
collective,
as,
right?
Yeah, as an individual, right? So I can give you an example. If there are two university graduates, one is South Asian, right? Punjabi, Hindu, whatever, and the other is maybe a different community, from a Western community, right? When they graduate, the one that is South Asian is gonna think like, what job should I get? Which job will my parents like? Which job will my grandparents like? Is this going to be good for the family? Am I going to be happy, right? We kind of tie our family into all of our decisions. But the Western child is just going to be like, which job do I like? They're only going to think about the I, right? So a lot of times the community thinking we have can cause us more stress, right? So as you can imagine, this child, the South Asian child, they're thinking about a lot more than the other one is, right? And it might cause you to be more stressed out. So I think those are some differences that we have. And then similarities is just stress. Everyone goes through it, right? Everyone has different values, different things they look at, right? So for example, in this example, obviously education and job opportunity, like that is something very stressful to a lot of young people or anyone getting into a new field, right? So it's gonna cause stress along wherever, right? But I think, yeah, the differences is that because of our collectivism that we have in our culture, a lot of times we feel more stress when it comes to big decisions in our life, getting married, getting a job, you know, like moving somewhere, all those things. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're ready for the video. Mhm. ये ले आप छूट गए नोट्स That's an awesome video. Lots that's said in those words.
Yes, it's just about the same thing that Anmol have been mentioning, that you know it's not about the thing that we are worried about. It's just about how long we have been worried about the same thing. Sorry, there was another thing playing in back.
In case anyone wasn't able to read it, the story was just that a psychologist asked somebody to hold a glass of water, and they asked how heavy is the glass, right? And the person answered like it's 100 grams, 500 grams, something like that, right? And then they answered that it's not about the weight of the glass. It's about how long are you going to hold on to that glass, right? You can hold on to the glass for 10 seconds, it won't do anything to you. But if you hold on to that glass for 1 hour in the same spot, your muscles would be so tired, right? You would be so exhausted. And in the same way, we do that to ourselves if something is stressing us out, right? Maybe it's something that happened 1 year ago. Maybe you had a fight with somebody 1 year ago, but you still keep thinking about it now, right? So for 1 year, you have been holding on to that glass of water, and now you are becoming exhausted, right? So it's about, should we hold on to it? When do we need to let it go, right?
Yes, and then just talking about more because of the stress which have been a part of our life because of COVID. Like you mentioned in the beginning, the isolation that is one of the most important reasons for most of our seniors and people who are not living together with their immediate family. Even for young people who are living separately after university, managing their job in different cities, it's very hard for them to cope up with these kind of isolation, as now they can't also go out and hang out with their friends. But there are some ways that we can try to minimize the stress that have been caused because of the COVID. The most important thing is, you know, even we were talking about the same thing during our one of our staff discussions, that particularly in South Asian community, it's a really big issue that we don't know from where to get the right information. And because the things are rapidly changing, every day there are different numbers, there are different sources that we need to trust, and we don't have one credible source that we can look for to have a valid, right information, which is up to dated. Like for the travel policy, you know, people who wants to go back to their native countries, or people who came as a tourist and now they're stuck here, or people who wants to plan a vacation and meet their family, but they are not having a credible source to look for. Somebody would tell them, okay, this is the information. They would go away with this information and will go to the and do
Sorry about that. Ramandeep, if you could mute the audio for who have joined in. Just a request for all our viewers who have joined us, if you could mute yourself just so we could make best use of our time and everybody can hear it, what our guests have to present.
And then, second thing, like everybody's talking about prevention, how are different ways, you can prevent it. Just don't go outside if it's not important. But at the same time, make sure that you are having your healthy walk, whatever routine you have set up for your own self, you're following that routine, but just maintaining physical distancing. Don't visit people you're not sure of, their trace of contact or who might have traveled recently. Limit your screen time, because working from home is particularly, I was just discussing with one of my colleagues that when we were actually in office, we would see a client in person, it was not a screen time. We would sit together with them for an hour and then have a conversation, or we will make a phone call from a landline. It was not a mobile phone or, always stick to our pockets or our ears. So there was a less screen time, there was less stress. But working from home, you need to make sure that you are not so much on screen. Take a break after every 20 minutes, refill your glass of water, or maybe just stretch yourself, have a 10 steps around your workspace that you have designed in your home. And be kind to yourself, like Anmol mentioned earlier, that you need to take care of yourself. That is the most important thing. If you're not being kind to yourself, how as a parent or as a caregiver you would be able to help the person in need in your family? How would you be able to be more available to them if you're not available for your own self? It could be, just having a healthy food, taking food on time. That's also additional thing that I struggled in the beginning, because when we were going to office, we had a set routine, breakfast, have a bagel or a coffee from Tim Hortons, and then you pack your lunch, you have a lunch at 1 to 2, and then when you come back home, you have a cup of coffee or tea with a snack, and then dinner at 8. That was a schedule. But once you started working from home, you're like, let's just wake up half an hour early before starting your day, and then you don't have that much time to cook and prepare things on your own, and then you're like, oh, it's already past 12 and I haven't eaten anything from the beginning, from the point my day have started. So those kind of thing I personally struggled with, and it helped me later by making a strict routine for your own self. You need to make a routine and stay on it, that then only you will be able to go through this pandemic in a better way, I would say, because we are not sure when this is going to end, but it will end. We need to be hopeful that if this situation has come, it will definitely end. And we have come across 8-9 months, so we can push some more months as well.
So I think this is a good time. So just to be mindful, so Akanksha and I will share a couple of activities, so strategies you can use if you are feeling stressed out. Yeah, so that we can have a few questions at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Anmol, if you want to go through this slide.
Working from home. So just kind of what Akanksha mentioned. Things are different, right? Our schedules have changed. So just to make sure that you are finding ways to get up, have regular breaks if you are working from home, right? So don't get locked up at your desk the whole day. Make sure you are balancing and spending time away, eat your lunch away from your desk, right? Find things that you can do to keep a regular schedule. And also there are lots of videos on YouTube you guys can find for stretches and yoga if you're feeling like your desk and working from home is making you very tired or stiff. You can always search those online.
And this is just another a bit of information, how you can manage with your kids as well as they're continuing virtual learning along with you working from home. Take your time, be an active listener, try to do things in a different way. not the usual way that you used to do, and explore new methods of learning, just, and sometimes it's very important. Most of the time, kids always complain about their parents is that my parent is only concerned about my grades. If by the end of the day or during our dinner, the only conversation they will have with us is, how was your class? Did you submitted your assignment on time? And how many grades did you get? Were you able to do your homework on time? So those kinds of things. So they feel like our parents no longer care for us as an individual, as a child, but they're mostly concerned about our grades and how we are doing in school. And that kind of, builds more pressure on them. And they're not able to talk about different things with their parents because that atmosphere was not developed from the beginning. They feel like my relationship with my father is just to talk about my grades and stuff. Okay, so yeah, we can give you the presentation later. I can email it to you, Jyoti, so you can send it to everybody else. We'll just move forward to the things that we have decided.
So we're just going to share some activities that you guys can do to manage your stress. So just note that these activities are mostly focused on the body, right? So these are if you're feeling any tightness, or if you need some time to just breathe and, like have some moment of peace, these strategies are for that. Obviously, there's two parts to stress. One part is your body. The second part is the actual stress and dealing with it. So, we talked about it before. You can always, the best thing to do is take care of your body first, try to relax it so that you can be in a mind and a place, like mindset, to work on those things and figure out those problems, right? So for that reason, you can always focus on your body first, right? So for example, this one over here is to find out where are you storing your stress physically, right? So you can follow the steps. So sit in a comfortable position and pay attention to if you're feeling any stiffness or tightness in your body. A lot of times, like biologically, our stress is stored in our shoulders and our neck. So that's why we end up getting the headache. So you can always do some shoulder exercises, yoga poses for shoulders, right? We're so lucky that we have the internet. You can find anything on this stuff. You can search, yoga for stress on YouTube and find a very easy 10-minute video and use that, right? Yeah, so we can share this presentation with you, and you guys can definitely take your time to read the steps and follow these steps. This one is one that I love doing. It's one of my favorites. Very, very easy breathing activity, and so in our culture, in the South Asian culture, a lot of us are very religious. We pray, right? So a lot of time in our prayers, it's important to practice breathing too while you're praying. So this can be something you guys can do while you're praying also, just to give yourself that peaceful space and, reset your body, calm it down. So it's called the square method, and you can look at the screen. It says breathe in, and you do this for 4 seconds through your nose. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, and then slowly breathe out for 4, and then hold again. So in, hold, out, hold. And you just follow this square. And the reason why breathing is so important is because with stress and anxiety, a lot of times our blood pressure rises, and our breath is connected to blood pressure, right? So if you can take control of your breathing and regulate your breathing and slow down your breathing, you can take control of how fast your blood is moving throughout your body, right? So if you're feeling that you are very anxious, right? Like ghabraye hue, and you feel like you can't sit still, you don't know what to do, you just want to get up and move, and you're very stressed out, practice breathing. So just take 5-10 minutes. Even 2 minutes makes such a difference. You will feel the calmness in your brain. You can try this square method.
Yeah. Sorry, we can't hear you, Jyoti.
Can't hear you. Do you want to type? I can read it if you type.
And maybe just add to one thing about the breathing technique. So when you want your kids to learn about it, so maybe breathe out for them slowly. You can tell them to mimic blowing out their birthday candle, like how slowly they blow out, and that's how much open their mouth should be. So they don't just blow out heavily, and they are still able to retain some oxygen that they breathe in during the process.
We can move on to the next activity.
Yes.
Like this.
Akanksha, do you want to share this one?
Yeah, sure. It's just about, sorry. It's about engaging into mindful and rhythmic exercising. Like most of the people don't like getting into a physical activity, and sometimes people relate doing a physical activity means going outside their home, outside their comfort zone. But instead of zoning out or starting a TV or phone, listening to your favorite podcast, or the list on Spotify can also, help you, and try to do different exercises to facilitate the process, and make you feel more into the process and enjoying it a bit. So if you're walking or running, focus on the sensations of your feet touching the ground, the rhythm of the beat, breathing, and how you are going with the whole process, how the feeling of the wind against your face. Like if we go for a walk, in like we compare, like when we are walking on a treadmill and when we actually go out and take a walk. So how much difference is during the both process of which relaxes us more. So that's how you can be more sensitive to things around you, and that connects you to the natures around you.
Yeah, a lot of times with stress, we get stuck in our own brain, in our own world, right? We just keep thinking about whatever's going on. So by doing this, by forcing yourself, think of your five senses. What can I see? What can I hear? How does the wind feel against me, right? Is my nose cold? Are my hands cold? If you focus on how you're feeling inside the environment, you start slowly like bringing your attention back to what is around you rather than what's in your brain. So this is a very good way to kind of get rid of those stressful moments. Yeah, going for a walk every day is also really good for your health, right? So this could be a nice activity when you go for a walk, right? Instead of like try not to like be on the phone, or if you're going alone, just try to focus on what's around you in your environment. And then the final one is kind of what I mentioned before. So there's lots of resources online. And if you guys would like, we can also share YouTube videos and some links on how to do yoga and stretches, right? And it's really nice because they also make them very easy. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like you can see on the left side of the screen, you can do them just sitting on a chair, right? If you don't want to get up and you don't want to move, or if you have some injuries or anything, you can be kind of mindful and do them in a very safe way. So these are very helpful, especially for stress, because stress does get locked in your body. So it's important to stretch, right? Take a warm shower, loosen up your muscles, stretch, make sure you're walking, try to be active just to get rid of those stiff spots. And then these activities here. So a lot of people, if you're going through something that you don't want to share, right, is private, you don't want to talk to anybody about it, no family members, a lot of times what you need to do is just get it out of your head. So you can try writing, journaling, right? And you can even rip up your paper after, throw it out, like, so no one else can read it, whatever you need to do for yourself. And other things are just all of these things mentioned are just ideas for you guys to have fun and enjoy some activities, right? New sport, hiking, singing, dancing, reading, music, anything that interests you. It's very healthy to put your mind into an activity, right? So try those things as well.
Yes, it's just, few suggestions and it can vary from person to person. You can add some things, or maybe you have already tried it, try something new from the list of activities. So there are so many resources online that they're just a click away, you can just try a new thing to try during COVID, stay inside, stay safe, and those kinds of things. And another thing that helps me to manage my stress few times is one of my most important stressor is when I'm not able to get done with my to-do list for the day. So if I have some pending tasks, that would give me a lot of stress, which I will hold up and go to bed with those things. So maybe try to manage your time effectively, or when you're weak, start just make a list of things, that comes vaguely to your mind. Could be related to just doing a grocery, going for a car wash, laundry, basic things, that are still tasks for you to accomplish, and then prioritize them according to their timeline, or according to their need or urgency. So, and then just go with that, and then checklist as soon as you're able to accomplish it. So it will give you a sense of relief, and will also calm your feelings that, okay, I have accomplished some things, I don't need to worry about. And maybe share it with your partner or other people in the family, so that they can also support you in accomplishing those tasks as well. Not just keep everything to your own self, ask for help.
One thing that also helps me is I try my best not to make a big list. So, because if you write down 15 things, most of the time, you're only going to do 5, right? So you discourage yourself. So what I do is instead I'll write down 3 things and I'll cross them all off. And then I feel like, I've done so much, I'm doing a good job. It gives me motivation. And then you can add more things slowly, like little by little, rather than creating a huge giant list. So that's all the tips we have for you guys today. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask now. You can write them in the chat box, or maybe Jyoti, like you can, or just make sure everyone gets their questions to us. We're having trouble hearing you again. You guys can also unmute, I guess, and in case you have any question.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, much better now. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, it's quite a bit of good information that you have shared. I did hear that, pick up on something that you like so that you kind of gear your thinking towards that and focus on that. Pick up a hobby, like you had a photography, reading, big in that last slide. So that kind of sticked. And again, communication, right? Talk about it, or even journal. So basically journal, when you're journaling, you are writing it to your book, who is not going to judge you or come back at you, right? So something like that. It's very good tips that you guys have provided us. Again, to all the audience that have joined us, feel free to bring up any questions that you guys have, something that you want, or maybe you have kids around you. Again, I do want to touch base on that a little bit, like considering now we have our older generation who are basically not able to go out or not see their older kids, right, or grandkids, right? So what tips would you have particularly for them, because now they're actually isolated, right? Some actually don't have opportunity of joining these sessions, right?
Yeah, I would suggest, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's easy to just think of small words and like easy things, right? So I always keep in my mind, body, soul, 3 things, right? Like man, sharir, and atma, ruh, jo bhi hoye, right? So mind, body, soul. Focus on those 3 things. Think about them, like, am I happy? Am I comfortable? How are these things in my life, right? And these are things that should be happening every day. You should be focusing on them every day, right? So every day you should be taking care of your body, making sure you're eating enough, making sure you're sleeping, making sure you have enough water. You should be, for your mind, you should make sure that you are talking to people, socializing, doing brain exercises, crosswords, readings, trying to keep your brain active, right? Getting your feelings out whichever way you like. And then soul, you should be doing something that makes you happy, even if it's something small, right? Even if it's going for a walk or calling a friend, checking up on them, or, video calling your family, your grandchildren, whatever it is. Every single day, you should at least do one thing that makes you happy and focus on all of those things, right? Focus on making sure you're exercising, because everything always needs to be in balance. And a lot of times that's what makes us feel sad, when one of those things are missing or two of those things are missing, right? So yeah, try to think of those three things every day. Or am I taking care of them, right? And I think if we're able to do that, then we're happy and we do well. And even if a big stress comes in our life, we are able to handle it because we are healthy, we are happy, and we are mentally active to handle that stress.
And it's a process, I guess. You will get good at it as you try it, right? So
Yeah.
basically, part of stress management is not stressing yourself. Oh, I'm not perfect at everything, right? As you mentioned, have your list smaller. Although you want to make a list, which actually ties back to what Akansha said, like manage your things, right? But having that list smaller just helps you have that sense of achievement, but not stressing yourself that, oh, I did not get through it all, because again, you're trying your best, right? And that's what is required, right? So yeah, I think again, Ramandeep, if you have something to add, if you have any question coming in your mind, because I know you're a busy guy on everyday basis, you're managing quite a bit, so for sure, what's your stress that you, or
No,
how do you handle it?
I'm really managed person, Jyoti. But Anmol and Akaksha, they both had a really good insights into how to
Mhm.
kind of detect the situation
Right.
around stress, as well as the couple of exercises that they have suggested. I am going out every day, no matter what the temperature is outside. I have a full gear that can work up to
Wonderful.
minus 60.
Okay.
So I'm in a good shape. The busier I stay, the more good I am. I will be more worried when I don't have anything to do. But up until December 10th, I will be super busy.
Mhm.
We will be having a very specific session on isolation itself on December 10th. And Mol will be our facilitator in that session. So if I don't see any more questions coming in, but one question caught my eye here is, does genetics play a role in stress? Are we prone to stress from specifically a South Asian diaspora context?
So yeah, thank you. That question was really great. Like, thank you, Dilip and Anupam, for your questions. They were very intelligent questions. So we did talk about it a little bit, but I can just rephrase that. So there isn't any gene for stress, right? So it's not that some people have it and some people don't. Stress is all about perception. It's all your brain. It's all about thinking, how we think about situations, how they affect us, how we let them into our life, right? How we react to situations. Um, and so, like we mentioned, sometimes in our community, because we are community based, we might value things more, or they might be scarier or bigger of a problem compared to other communities, right? So that can affect us because, we don't want to disappoint our family or like community, whoever's around us, right? Extended family, children, parents. So sometimes that does affect us. And also, just remember, it is also a learned behaviors, right? So sometimes if you have parents who get stressed very easily, it's possible that you may also be like that, right? It doesn't have to be like that. Maybe you learn to be different from them because you can see that it's affecting them. But a lot of times it's normal. That's how kids learn, right? Kids learn by copying you. So they copy like the way you put on your shoes, the way you wash your face, the way you brush your teeth, which foods you like, right? We that's how we learn as humans. So sometimes kids copy the way we react to situations as well. So I
Right.
think as a parent, that's something to be mindful of. And I mentioned it before. Just look at how do I react to situations, because the way you react, and if it's unhealthy, then either your kids are going to adopt it, or it's going to be something they're scared of, right? So it's important to think about that.
Just to add to the exercises that you have suggested, we are running a free yoga sessions every day except on Wednesdays from 9:25 to 10:25, 6 days a week, and we plan to deliver 3,000 hours session hours by the end of this year. So they are free. Anybody who is interested in the audience, they can get in contact with me or anybody else from the India Association. We will be more than happy to send you the link where to register and how to register for the yoga classes. Great. And by the way, this question was from the Leap. I know Anupam is a really active participant. He have really good questions. Let's take the one last question, which is from Anupam actually. Post-pandemic, how will the stress change or remain? Will the stress change or remain the same?
Yeah, I think it depends from person to person or situation to situation, because everybody is having a different coping mechanism to deal with the current situation of pandemic, and hopefully things would be better. You know, stress would not be that much bigger if we see post pandemic, but still, you know, people who are vulnerable, they still might feel like if certain number of population is already having access to vaccination, and what about the people who does not have access to vaccination? So, you know, it depends how, in which category you fall. And maybe, you know, for parents to send their kids back to school when they will be wearing no mask, and still if anybody in their family is coming traveling back from abroad and they might have contacted it, the virus through airport or going to different places. And for some people their social support will be back again, they can still go freely, meet their friends, hang out with their friends, like the seniors, they could go and visit their grandkids as well, come out of their seniors home or retirement's home. So it depends from person to person how the situation will affect an individual. And Anmol can definitely share her perspective on this.
Yeah, I agree. It depends. Like, it's some people might not even feel stressed at all right now, right? Maybe their job is continuing to be the same. Maybe they like it better because they're working from home and, you know, they're not worried about finances. And maybe, you know, all of this situation doesn't stress them at all. So I think it really depends on you, how you view it and how you take it. And maybe, like, you know, maybe going back to work will be better for you, or, you know, the world returning to normal that we say. But maybe it'll also make you uncomfortable because now you're so used to staying home, right? It really matters about your reaction and how you kind of move with the situation. So yeah, it's very, stress is very personal, it's very individualized, it's based on whoever's going through it. So I think we can't really say, but I guess overall, like, all we can do is really prepare ourselves, right? So think about it now, think about the situations, like, if this ends up happening, what will I do? If this happens, what will I do? If you're prepared, you won't feel stressed, right? That's the most that we can do in this time.
Agree. So with that, I think Jyoti, we are at the end of the session.
Sure.
And I would like to thank Akanksha Sharma and Anmol Chal from PCHS for coming and delivering this session. It was great, very interactive, lots of thought-provoking information in the session. Much as we thank you, we thank the Government of Canada for enabling us to be in a position to deliver these programs through their funding, which is administered by the Red Cross Canada. With that, thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much
Anmol.
for
Thank you,
having us.
Kasia.
Take care, everyone.
You too.